Hello and a very warm welcome to this training session brought to you in partnership with the Google News Initiative. As you can see there on the screen, establishing a digital newsroom, our key topic for this lesson as part of a comprehensive look at our business strategy as we move down that road from traditional publishing to what we can offer online in these very, very fast changing times for all of us indeed. My name is Seamus, independent journalist and multimedia trainer. And I'm joined today by Louise in the chat. So do feel free to say hello in the chat. Reach out to Louise, perhaps say who you are, where you're calling in from, maybe the company that you work for, or the company that you're planning. Maybe you're an independent looking at setting up as a publisher. It's a great pleasure to have you here for this lesson, Establishing a Digital Newsroom. Maybe you were with us just a little while ago, the last hour. We also had another topic, another lesson on the digital publishing success that we're looking for. And this is the second lesson as part of the business strategy section, Establishing a Digital Newsroom. But if you're joining us just for this lesson, welcome as well. And actually, perhaps we can start just by getting a bird's eye view over all of these lessons being proposed as part of the Google News Initiative, becoming a successful digital publisher. That's what it's all about. You're in the right place if that's the question you're asking. As you can see, they're establishing a digital newsroom, the second lesson as part of business strategy. Going through March and April, we also have a whole host of other lessons, audience development, as you can see there, creating content for digital, optimizing your digital assets, crafting digital newsletters, so really digging down into a lot of these topics. Also, data management, very important. We're hearing a lot about the sector of data journalism. So understanding your data, data-driven content, NCI and RCI. So some of those tools when it comes to knowing the insights, the news and the content insights, the vitals when it comes to the web. Advertising revenue, that's a biggie going through March and April, also as part of the suite of lessons, establishing your advertising strategy, optimizing ad revenue, data and ads, bringing those two together, programmatic strategies, and then the very important reader revenue models, assessing the opportunity that we can have, optimizing the famous user funnel, also looking at alternative income streams, as you can see there. So you're here for the Establishing a Digital Newsroom lesson, lesson number 2. If any of the other lessons and topics interest you, do sign up on the website that hopefully Louise can share in the chat with you. In fact, the same place where you would have signed up for today's lesson. Lots of great content there. A lot of these lessons are linked. So what you'll hear today and in the third part of business strategy will be connected with a lot of the other lessons. So don't hesitate. Go and check out what could be of interest for you. I think all of the dates are there. You can sign up for those and hopefully we'll see you for a lot of these lessons. So let's start. And actually, the beginning of these lessons, we like to touch on this, making sure that you're getting the most out of this training. And this is very important for us right up front in these fast-changing times. Really, there's no solution for all. So we're all looking around for different alternatives, for different solutions and strategies as a publisher, as a news media person, if you like. So we like to say that we are here to show you a variety of options. Case studies, we want to suggest action plans, give you tips and resources to signpost things that you could look at in the search as you're exploring for solutions in the world of digital publishing. But it's very important for us to say that whatever you decide to do afterwards, your next steps, your action plans, it's really going to depend on your business. You are the best place to know what should be done. So while we give you these suggestions, don't forget that, really what you decide to do afterwards, it's really up to you. It's going to depend on your needs, your experience, and your overall goals as a publisher. So that's just very important for us to point that out at the very beginning. We also like to ask this question right up front: why does this matter? And hopefully you agree that it does matter, which is why you're here with us today. But it's really making sure that we're looking at this in terms of looking at the change. We're going beyond print, beyond the traditional, and we're looking at digital now, and that's affecting all areas of our organizations. So we do like to talk about this change from within. So the way that people are consuming news, we know this, don't we? Changing so much more than just the reduction of print. A knock-on effect, if you like, causing this ripple right across the entire organization. Maybe you've already experienced this. So in this session, we want to focus on our people, the skills that we need, and our roles, actually, the roles that we play as part of all of this, as we're looking around for these solutions, as we ask what's important inside a future newsroom. So very interesting topic to be looking at. As you can see, we've divided the lesson up into 3 focus areas. So I'm delighted to say that people and culture, number 1. So really people at the heart of things. And that's the big debate, isn't it, between the human and the machine, making sure that people remain our focus. So how can your structures, roles, and priorities change when it comes to people and culture? So looking at the skill sets we need, looking at the training, recruitment, etc. What do we need to make sure that people are equipped? And we're going to have a checklist on that. So also the second topic, your digital product. So what are some of the important factors to consider for your individual product? As I say, that depends on your organization, how big you are, your resources, your overall goals. And then our third topic in this lesson, emerging technologies. So of course, what technology can help us become a successful digital publisher? What's out there? What do we need to keep an eye out for when it comes to emerging technology? So let's jump right into it. People and culture. Yeah, I do like the fact that we have this right up front, because without the people in the digital world, things are not going to take off, are they? And I think, that's it's been a big debate. And for a lot of organizations, I think we have realized that we have to make sure that people really are at the center of things. Working together as an organization, as you can see there. So we like to say that, a lot of publishers finding success when their strategy involves editorial, technology teams and business teams coming together. So sharing a vision. And I think, when we do see problems at news organizations, media organizations, often we have people in different departments compartmentalized, if you like, so not really working together. We often hear in the business world now the Northern Star concept. So making sure that everybody's looking up at the Northern Star, that everybody's on board, everybody's on the same page. So editorial, the business strategy team, the marketing team, sales, data, and the technology team, the people who are going to make it all happen, that they understand what's happening when it comes to editorial. So what every department has in terms of their priorities and their goals and their interests, and making sure that everybody's working together as an organization. Worthwhile to start perhaps with a case study here, looking at La Vanguardia. So this is a Spanish daily newspaper, a good example of a paper that decided to combine digital and print in the same newsroom. I've been to lots of newsrooms, places where I've worked as well, where we have seen this division, digital on the 5th floor, the editorial on the 1st floor. This is a good example, La Vanguardia, where we have them in a single newsroom. And for people who work in publishing, we sometimes get this feeling of, having two sides, also not just between editorial and the technical teams, but also between editorial and business. And there does seem to be this historical kind of two sides view when it comes to journalism. But a lot of organizations really trying to improve on that, really seeing how we can work together. And it's worth pointing out the feedback that we get from media executives. It's really that, working together, it does not necessarily mean lowering the quality of the journalism, especially when it comes to the journalism, the editorial side, and the business side. It's really just making sure that we have the same goal, that we're finding solutions together, solutions that work for both sides. So news organizations, different departments successfully working together. So La Vanguardia, a good example there where it can work in the same newsroom. Another case study worth talking about, this is the Westfalen Post. This is a daily regional newspaper in Germany. And at this paper, the commercial actually and the editorial teams working side by side. So not just the technical teams and the editorial, but the commercial and the editorial working side by side. So this collaboration between the departments really, for example, the Westfalen Post saying this has been critical to its digital transformation, because digital very much linked to business, to advertising and what have you, the new tools, a lot of business decisions being made. And so they really had to bring those teams to work with the editorial to know what was possible, looking at the solutions to make sure that the quality of journalism didn't suffer, and that the commercial teams and the editorial teams all understood each other. So that's another good example there. We also know that when it comes to working together on this digital transformation, what we're really looking at is a changing set of skills. And I think that's right across the board, not just for the journalists, but also for the technical people, also for the commercial people. It's really making sure that we're up to speed when it comes to the skill set. We talk a lot now about upskilling, don't we? A lot of training sessions, companies investing heavily in this because they know that it's very important. So bringing the various teams together is likely to mean that we're going to need new tools. We're going to need to upskill. Data, for example, the first topic as part of this, useful when making the very crucial decisions when we're working together. So looking at the insights, making sure that we have the proof behind the steps we're taking. So looking at the data, getting in touch with the readership, really knowing what's going on. And not just having the data, but actually being able to interpret the data, to really actually use the data in a valuable way, creating stories and creating scenarios and solutions from the data. So really using it. Nuggets of gold, often those little bits of data. Also mixed media. Digital really does lend itself to a host of new media. So we're wanting to really be open, aren't we, to introducing different things. So if we're a newspaper, why not video, audio, podcasts? Why not having, almost like having TV presenters on your websites, even if you're a newspaper? So this mixed media approach to things, I think a lot of organizations now embracing that. And with that, keyword there, capital A, adaptability. So it's a new and ever-changing field we're working in. A good idea, many say, to embrace this positive mindset towards learning. So really being adaptable, adaptability. 2 years of COVID, the crisis we've had, most of us, this word has been a big one, hasn't it? So perhaps we're already down that path, and this digital transformation just over the past 2 years, really the changes we've seen, 20 years of changes, many people say that we've seen in just 2 years alone. So another case study here, interesting. Denik N, this is a Slovakian daily newspaper. Actually, what they've done, they actually provide all of their journalists with access to an analytics tool, if you like, developed in-house. So this was a self-built analytics tool. So the data is actually used by the newsroom, by the writers, by the reporters and the producers to optimize things like placement of articles, the length of the teaser or the opening paragraph, where they should put the titles, for example, how long should the titles be, how are people reacting to a lot of those elements. So reporters getting a daily email briefing, and this consists of things like conversion rates, the subscription sales, the revenues per article, so the clicks. And in the past, we have heard this, haven't we? We've had editors in newsrooms saying that journalists should not be worrying about page views and the number of unique users and the average time spent on articles. the editor, blocking that in the past. But really, a lot of people are now saying that it can help to know how many how many of the readers are reading our articles, what they think about our articles, just to work out whether it's well received or not. Was it interesting? Was it useful? And as a journalist, myself as a journalist, it's always interesting to get feedback and to know, whether people are actually reading our articles, how they're reacting. And maybe also it's interesting to know whether, my article is helping actually people sign up for a subscription. So that could be something for you to think about. I know that there's a lot of debate about that, but these are just some of the things to think about. So it's really that focus on the numbers that's really seen to have been the key factor to success for Denick, and just one of the examples there. So we do talk a lot about this now, don't we? The mindset or the culture within an organization. Lots of organizations grappling with this. As I say, this debate about, the partnership between the human and the machine. Well, it's the same for the setting up of a digital newsroom. So the mindset. And we look at two things here. So wanting this to be data driven. So data that can help drive, it can help influence any future decisions being made right across the newsroom, all of these departments working together. So we really have proof about what we're doing. It's not just, philosophical debates about things, but actually we have the facts and figures, and we're using the data. And so a lot of the pointers for the future is actually coming up out of the data. Testing and learning, A/B learning, we talk about a lot. So testing and learning, just seeing what works. And this, should be a big part of any digital newsroom. So a test and learn approach, trying those new ideas, trying to work out, the right path to take, not being afraid actually to launch something for a week, see how it goes down, maybe for a month, just testing it, learning from the experience. And being transparent actually with the readership as well. A lot of organizations talk about that, telling the readership, we are testing this. We're in the process of learning. What do you think? Do you like this color? Do you like the way we've done this? Do you like having the video attached here or there? This is one of the things to think about as well. Another case study. I always wonder how we pronounce this, whether I'm saying meow like a cat or meow. But this is the Media Entertainment Arts Worldwide, popular online publication. Really, this company seeing great results, really, after adopting a test and learn strategy. As you can see there, the results are impressive. 200% higher CPMs as a result of their new ad strategy. Don't forget CPM, just for those who may be new to that, the cost per 1,000. We're actually taking it from a French word, the cost per mille. So that's the price of 1,000 impressions, visitors to a website. So 200% higher there for Meow or Meow. Really revisiting the way that it implements ads, really to better complement the editorial content. So readers can still see that these native adverts they're seeing, that they're exactly that. So there's transparency there. Adverts. But the organization's saying that they do look less ugly. They actually are more in keeping with the overall design, the appearance of the publication as a whole. So testing and learning what works, and making sure that you're not just throwing up adverts that just don't fit with your content, but actually tailoring things, actually having the power, the capacity to make sure that the look and the feel, that the adverts are not intruding, that they're actually adding something to the overall look of what people are finding online. So that's another great case study there as well. Which raises the question for you, and we don't like this just to be me talking to you and not asking questions, but what skills does your newsroom have? What do you need to improve on? What do you think you still need to do when it comes to the skill set of your staff? It's a tongue twister, isn't it? The skill set of your staff. Are you looking at this? Have you made up a list of things? This is a question that we'd like to ask, and if you do have any questions about this or remarks, do feel free to put those into the chat with Louise, because it's always very interesting. Do you have really a strategy for this, identifying where you need to make improvements when you're making this shift from the traditional to the digital. And on that point, actually, we can maybe propose some kind of activity here. So a skills checklist, building your own list for the skills you may need. And I like to see that the tick here, the very first tick here, excellent journalism. Of course, that's one of the skills, top of the list. We do have that. And if not, maybe that's part of your value proposition. We talked about that in the last lesson, making sure that you do have excellent journalism, if that's important for you, that it's recognized as excellent journalism, quality journalism. Maybe you need to recruit. Maybe you need to upskill your staff to make sure that you have excellent journalism. Just going down that list, video creation and production. Maybe you're a company that's existed for a number of years, or maybe you're just starting up, but maybe you don't have the skills when it comes to video creation and production. So maybe you need to look at that, to recruit, to upskill. Social media management. We do have a lot of people coming out of universities, out of courses now, trained in social media. So maybe you do need to recruit or upskill the staff you have. Graphic design, photography, writing for the web. It can be very different now, writing for the web, than writing for a physical print newspaper, for example. So lots of news organizations, we already see this in terms of what we have to do with our staff. So these are some of the core skills that do translate easily to the digital world, but there are going to be some new ones as well, as we can see there. Your organization's needs, of course, may be very different depending on your specific requirements, but this kind of skills checklist would be absolutely beneficial if you don't have this already. And as we said at the very beginning, making sure we're working together on this so everybody's on board and filling this in. So digital newsroom checklist, think about whether these are covered in your organization. And we have 3 things here seen as very important for us to share with you. So data transparency. Are you making your data available to everyone? Are you actively upskilling when it comes to data literacy? So that's very important. Do people want to have access to that data? Are you providing it? And of course, those questions about confidentiality and privacy as well come into this. But just making sure that there is a data transparency strategy. Testing and learning. Being affirmative on this, we will put our ideas to the test through test and learn methods. Is this something you're going to tick off on the checklist? Open communications. Are the channels open? Are you all working towards the same goal? Are you holding meetings together, sharing relevant reports? Does everybody know what's going on? Are we sharing the same vision? We talked there about the Northern Star, everybody being on the same page, looking up at the same Northern Star. We talk about that a lot now in business conferences when it comes to the media, communications, everybody looking towards the Northern Star. So your digital product, this is our second topic. So sometimes it goes without saying, traditionally news publishing began in print, didn't it, before expanding into other editions, digital, etc. So daily print publishing was the start of the journey, weekly publishing perhaps, and then the digital product. So the traditional publisher's starting point at the very beginning, why not actually think about digital first? And this is our next focus area when it comes to your digital product. Think digital first. We can see there, daily print publishing, weekly publishing, building a digital infrastructure, launching an app. Maybe the new starting point can be a little bit further on there than it may have been in the past. So let's look at a case study of this. Dagens Nyheter, and my apologies if my Swedish is not wonderful there. 2/3 of the revenue at the Swedish newspaper still coming from print, but the managers at the paper there deciding to focus on the digital presentation as if the print didn't exist. And I think that's what's key when it comes to this case study. So we can see there on the screen the head of the editorial department, editorial development. We make sure that every article is published at the right time and in the right format for the digital audience. So this is Martin Jonsson there. If your goal is to build digital loyalty, he goes on to say, you have to start from digital quality. And that means reviewing your metrics to understand the needs of your readers, then change into a positive spiral where more quality attracts more subscribers and gets you more revenue and more journalists. So the aim here really is to make sure that we're focusing on digital, and it's almost like a separate presentation. It's a separate product. But of course, we are all working together when it comes to the content. And actually, this newspaper does point out that Swedish publishers are in a bit of a privileged position, perhaps, because the head of the editorial development section there does say that most of their customers pay for music, movies, news, and what have you. 13% of Swedes paying for all three. So perhaps a bit of a head start there for Dagens Nyheter. And so despite the rush to deliver news stories around the clock, plenty of readers also still enjoying reading a daily edition. So we like to talk about this as being a product that is designed to be completed. So this feeling of the reader, readers do love, we hear this a lot, the sense of achievement when it comes to finishing a daily edition. And this absolutely important in this digital world now, where we have endless feeds, finite products, if you like, appealing perhaps to a lot of people, but there's still a big market for those who like to have this feeling of completeness, so they're finishing a product. And it was interesting, Richard Furness, Managing Director, digital marketing, customer relations, etc. at The Guardian. Journalists should remember that their job is not publishing as much as they can, but editing what is important. For me, quite a key quote there when it comes to this topic of what we're actually providing to our readers. Another case study, very interesting here. This is The Times. So digital providing a chance to rethink your publishing schedule. So very important here when we talk about breaking news, for example. Morning editions, mid-afternoon editions. So The Times changing its internal process, as you can see there, to make its publishing schedules more flexible. And this meaning that journalists could keep filing after the print deadline. So this was in 2016, about March in 2016, The Times saying that it was going to stop covering breaking news. Instead, it was going to post quick updates on developing stories. It was going to publish 3 daily editions. So 9 o'clock in the morning, midday, and 5 o'clock early evening. And the management of The Times saying that they made this decision after reviewing the data, so making use of what was in front of them in terms of the data, and saying there, the message was very clear from our readership. They valued us for our insights, the analysis, the authority of the reporting, not for the ability to catch up very quickly. So The Times reacting to that, and as you can see there, those 3 editions, still reacting to breaking news, but actually making it really into products as opposed to just this constant feed of breaking news. This raises a question for all of you. Are you thinking digital first when it comes to your products, when it comes to what you're doing? If you are thinking about starting out on the journey as a publisher, are you looking at some of the more traditional aspects of publishing, or are you thinking digital first, as many people would suggest? So we can maybe actually tick off another section of the digital newsroom checklist. Let's look at the next part. Are you putting your digital product first, or thinking in a different way? So we look there at data transparency, testing and learning, open communications, and now we can look there at digital products. Are we thinking digital first? Publishing at the time that's right for our readers, and that's what a lot of people, a lot of media executives would say is very important at the moment. Let's look at our third topic now as well. So emerging technology is very important when we look at all of this. Of course, every week something new coming up, a new app, a new way of doing something. Innovative examples of emerging technologies changing, really changing how we gather, if you like, how we're delivering content. And a lot of companies now working hand in hand with media organizations, tools actually really designed for the news industry. And it can be overwhelming. It can be daunting to see what tools are available, what should we be using. Everybody's scrambling around, exploring all of the different options, looking to see what's working, what are other companies using, what are the competitors using when it comes to emerging technologies. I love this, the Gartner hype cycle. This word hype, we do hear a lot of hype, don't we? A lot about when it comes to technology, emerging technologies. You may have seen this, the Gartner hype cycle. This is really a tracking map, a technology tracking map, really showing us the emerging trends and the time that it takes actually for this to get to the mass market. So the purpose really of this, really why we want to show you this as a publisher, it's not just what's available here and now, but it's also thinking about the years to come or the months ahead, looking forward to the future, at what other important technology you might also need to consider. So this is a graphical depiction, as you can see there, a common pattern arising when we have a new piece of technology or some piece of innovation that comes out. Every year, Gartner creates more than 90 hype cycles when it comes to different technology. They track this, the maturity, the point of maturity, the future potential, 5 phases, as you can see there, the innovation trigger. Goes up to the peak of the inflated expectations, comes down to the trough of disillusionment. We've all experienced that, no doubt. And then it comes up, the slope of enlightenment. It's almost like skiing, isn't it? We're back on the slope and then we reach a plateau, and then this plateau of productivity. And then it comes to the mass market. We're all using it. And then the curve can go up and down again after that, but we have this plateau. So it's really interesting to see it from Gartner's point of view, this hype cycle. So do think about that. Do keep across. I don't know if Louise can put into the chat as well the link for the hype cycle. It's worth keeping an eye on that because dozens of these are produced all the time on some of these new trends and technology. So that's very interesting also as well. Time for a case study. So this is Voice 360 by Genio, Spanish newspaper. I'm pronouncing it the English way. Media group in Spain, a large number of companies. In fact, they cover press, radio, television, the internet as well. Genio developing this product, they say, to allow readers to interact with content by voice. So yes, we've seen video, we've seen artificial intelligence and what have you, but the podcast, a lot of people talking about podcasts, but also now this whole thing about the voice. So the voice is not going to kill the web, the mobile, or the video, but as you can see there, we've noted this, publishers must be prepared to offer news via any format, using every multimedia capability to create that better content. So why not voice? So Genio, putting voice into every step, in fact, of the news production process. So recording and transcribing an interview using voice to text techniques. So recording a podcast, putting it into the CMS, which of course is the content management system. You may have heard of that. Creation of voice bots for intelligent devices when it comes to the distribution of the content, and lots of other things as well. So really the voice, something to consider there as well. We know other news websites there. Another example would be Zetland, one of the first when it came to this in Denmark. Articles now available in audio format as well as visually reading the text. And actually somebody there from Zetland I saw there, they said that now, today 65% of our users, of people using our website, it's coming from the audio side of things. So very interesting there as well indeed. Another case study when it comes to automation, this is NBC, publishing videos non-stop. Really this, this big demand for videos from the viewers, especially online videos, short form videos as well. Really a way to help support this big growing demand. They're using video automation tools. One of them, as you can see there, Whippets, actually used by lots of media publishers, not just NBC, but Whippets, if you want to check out their website, Louise could put that into the chat, but it's wibbits.com. Really basically an online video creation, as I say, short form videos, very quick. You don't have to be an expert. It's very intuitive, lots of templates. I've used this. And as I say, this is something very quick. And for an organization that wants to make these very short videos, very short and sweet, easy to make, then a tool like this is something to think about. But as I say, Wibbits is not alone in the field, so there's lots of other options as well, but that's just one example. NBC embracing that. And if you look at the NBC website, you'll see how they have lots of examples of this. Another case study, Dagens Nita, and this also is looking at technology, exploring new technology, opening up new audiences. So starting with these creative, innovative formats such as virtual reality, podcasts, audio books as well. They say they've attracted a new and different audience. As you can see, they're much younger, more female, less urban. And actually, the paper there saying that 73% of their print circulation sold in Stockholm, but actually they say that 60% of their digital subscribers today actually now live in other cities. So reaching new people, understanding how these readers, what they want, how they're defining quality, and how the media group can actually respond to what the readership is saying to this newspaper about what they want in terms of content and the quality as well. So that raises another question for you as well, doesn't it? Do you know what technology is available for your organization? Have you started to explore this? Do you have a checklist of things that could be useful for you? Are you looking around at other similar sized organizations? If you're a small publisher, looking at other small publishers, what are they using? Or medium sized publishers? But even looking at tools used by the likes of NBC, Wibbits, it could be great for a single publisher, for a small operation as well. Easy to use, you can sign up for that. Interesting question, and I think this is going to be a question that you're going to have to look at all of the time, week by week. What new technology could I make use of? So the activity here that we can talk about, going back to our checklist after digital products, is the emerging technologies. Yes, we're excited about emerging technology. We are exploring what is available to us. So that's going to be, ticked off on the checklist. And as we said at the very beginning, everybody working together on this. So completing this final part of the digital newsroom checklist there, emerging technologies. Useful to consider all of the time, as I say, what new technologies are emerging. Really being active when it comes to identifying even the technology that you have, how that can be developed and improved or used in a different way. So not everything becomes legacy after a year. We can actually tweak some technology as well. So lots of options out there, lots of steps that you can choose. And as we said at the very beginning, this will depend on your organization, of course, your needs and experience, and what your overall aim or mission statement is. So let's just have a little bit of a summary of what we looked at today. We looked at people and culture, so the skills and the training we may need, the upskilling, the recruiting, people at the heart of things, and also this concept of a partnership, so everybody working together. Within the organization, change from within, so the editorial working closely with the technical people, working closely with the commercial. But also this concept of the partnership between the human and the machine, making big use of data as well, making sure that we have the evidence that any decisions we're making is based on something concrete, something very specific. So the digital product as well, what are some important factors to consider for your product? And that's going to be very important for you to take a look at your own circumstances, using that checklist. What is the best model for you? And then we looked at there the emerging technology. So what can help you to become successful as a digital publisher? And we talked about this as well, making sure that, we're not just grabbing technology because it's the latest trend and not thinking about how it actually fits into our operation. Is it adding something to our value proposition, and that's something we touched in the lesson just before, our very important digital value proposition, making sure that technology fits into that. So we're not just bringing something in just for the sake of it because it's fun, but actually because it's adding value to our digital proposition. So that's very important as well. So we've come to the end of this lesson. We had a lot to get our teeth into. I'm just wondering if there are any questions from any of you. It's been quite in-depth, hasn't it? There's quite a lot to work through. This is the first in a suite of lessons, actually, when it comes to digital publishing, finding the business strategy success that we're all after. I can see that there are no questions. I see that from Louise. So hopefully we've touched all the bases. Everything's been so clearly explained that no need for questions. But don't forget, actually, that on Thursday, so the 3rd of March at 11 o'clock GMT, we do have a roundtable session. So if you're not wanting to type in your questions into the chat with Louise, this could be perfect for you to come and say hello to us. There'll be Louise and myself in the roundtable. Open mic, so you can talk to us. It'll be a Google Meet session, so you're able to talk to us. You can sign up for that at the same place where you signed up for today's lesson. So that's, and Louise will have shared that in the link with you there as well. So you can sign up there for the roundtable session. Looking at the whole business strategy side of things, let me just remind you where we are with this lesson. So establishing a digital newsroom, as you can see there, the second in the business strategy. Later this week on Thursday, so you have the growing your readership section. That'll come just before the roundtable session at 11 o'clock GMT. So at 10 o'clock, you're going to have the growing your readership session. I'll be there also on that session as well. So, you know, changing behaviors, building loyal readerships. So we're going to dig down really into some of the stuff we looked at when it came to business strategy. But you can also see that, you know, don't forget, you can also sign up for other courses going through March into April, audience development, data management. We talked about that today, advertising revenue as well, reader revenue models. How can you explore some of these alternative income streams? So there's lots of lessons there that you could sign up for. Louise will have shared the link. Don't hesitate. If you can come and join us, that'll be great. As I say, at the end of every one of these pillars of lessons, so business strategy, audience development, data management, at the end of every suite of lessons, there is this roundtable discussion where the trainer and the moderator, so myself and Louise, this week will be there taking part in this roundtable session. So that's on Thursday, 11 o'clock GMT. Do join us for that. And to continue your journey, so some more resources as part of the Google News initiative, this digital growth program. We have, as I said, these deep dives, this opportunity for you to ask questions, open mic, so you can actually talk to us and we'll respond as best we can. We'll hear about your experiences, you know, the relevance of all of this for you and whatever project you're working on or are involved with. You know, what you learned this week, what are some of the issues that come up for you? So as I say, these roundtable sessions as part of those deep dives. There's also another project called Labs, more training. This is via the GNI, Google News Initiative Digital Growth Labs. Louise will be putting this into the chat as well. So that's another great venue for having a discussion, for having some training sessions, all around a lot of these topics, and actually a lot of the insights, a lot of the things that we talk about on these training sessions, a lot of this actually comes up out of the lab sessions. Very, very interesting indeed. The other thing we wanted to talk about just before we finish, feedback. That is very important for us. We say to you as part of these training sessions, it's absolutely crucial to know your audience and your readership. Well, it's exactly the same for us as the trainers here on these digital growth programs. As a journalist, really as a media person, to get your feedback. So very important. How can we evolve? How can we improve our support for you? Just in terms of the content, what we're talking about, what's useful for you, what would you like to hear more about as well? So very important to know who you are and what your expectations are. So those are some of the ways that you can continue your journey. That just leaves me now to say a big thank you to all of you. Thank you so much for taking part in today's lesson. As I say, don't forget, it's not just this lesson or today. This is just the beginning of the suite of lessons as part of the Google News initiative. The digital publishing success we talked about, establishing a newsroom, but lots of other topics. So maybe we'll see you again for some of those. But for now, thanks very much for your attention. Hope it's been useful. Thanks for joining us and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks very much from Louise and from me. Have a great afternoon. Bye for now.